really will love it. 'Cause just get it home.
Tower Cam says, hey guys, quick favor. Anyone know a local mold expert? I'm just trying to stay safe up here.
Oh, well, what a coincidence.
Wow, Tower Cam.
We happen to be with one right now.
Timing is perfect.
Your timing is impeccable, as always. Welcome back to Indy Now. Our next guest is a local expert in keeping Hoosiers' homes safe, healthy, and energy efficient, too.
Welcome to Pete Jarvis, the co-owner of AdvantaClean of North Central Indiana, who's here today to give us the facts we need to protect our homes and our health this summer. Hi, Pete.
Hi, Pete.
Hi there.
So Ryan and I just came in from outside.
Yes.
It's a little hot out there. I don't know if you heard. Yeah, and actually we learned this time of year homeowners are at a higher risk of mold during this time. So break that down for us, please.
Well, mold needs moisture to grow, and this time of year, it's everywhere. You felt it when you were out there. In fact, I measured it on the way over here. It's over 80% humidity, and
I believe it.
Mold can grow in anything around 60% or higher. So it's just a natural issue because it's got the moisture it needs without having a water leak or something like that. It's available in the air.
Yeah.
Where does it grow typically, and what kind of damage can this stuff do?
Well, it grows really anywhere it can get food and water. And since almost everything we build homes out of it considers food, it just needs water. And so anywhere that there's water, which typically we think of like the sink, the laundry room, you know, the ice maker leaking, that's the typical, you know, but then summertime we have so much humidity that it can pull the water out of the air. So if you have, you know, over 60% humidity for a period of time, mold can grow on almost any surface if it's not basically under control. And that's pretty simple to control. I mean, we do it pretty well, air conditioning, that kind of stuff. But the humidity-borne mold tends to be the one that surprises people because they didn't have like a leak, right? So it can, crawl spaces, I mean, lots of areas that are just sort of out of sight, out of mind.
Well, speaking of that, I know a lot of people would like to know some ways they can reduce that moisture in their home so they can prevent this from even happening.
Absolutely, and some of the simple stuff, first thing is to measure it, right? You know, we tend to think about our comfort, we think temperature, we set the temperature. We don't do a lot of measuring the humidity. Measuring humidity, knowing it's well under 60%, kind of helps you know, okay, we're safe. You know, you can go to the box store, pick up a humidity, monitor, hygrometer, and $15 or Amazon or whatever.
Yeah, it's cheap. You can get one easily.
Make sure it's well under 60%. You can also make sure you run your air conditioner with the fan setting on auto instead of on. When it's on, it re-evaporates the water that it's collected back into the air in between cycles, and the humidity stays up higher.
That's a good tip.
So on auto instead of on.
Okay. The humidity levels. I'm an engineer by trade, so I tend to turn everything into an experiment. But in my house, just by flipping that switch, you drop the humidity 7% on a humid day.
Okay, that's really good.
That's a really easy thing to do. It's free, and it just basically gives you better humidity control, especially in the summer months.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they don't realize maybe that there was a terrible problem until you go through like a home inspection process. And then it gets kind of scary sometimes because you're like, wait, I'm living amongst this mold or whatever it might be.
Right, absolutely. Especially in areas that they don't look at, like crawl spaces. I mean, those need some extra care. Vapor barrier should be in every crawl space. The most ideal scenario now is to actively control it, but at bare minimum, you want a vapor barrier down in your crawl space, and then taking it from there, you can have extra. There you go. That's an encapsulation. That's kind of the highest end vapor barrier. There's a lot of things from kind of very basic all the way up to something like that, but that's protecting the crawl space from getting a lot of evaporation out of the ground. So that vapor barrier, and then there's a dehumidifier in a crawl space. That's kind of the best case scenario right there. It's a dry, safe, healthy space. You can tell that's not what most people look at and they think crawl space, right? Most people are pretty grossed out by it.
Well, I'll tell you, the crawl space at our old house, I was terrified of, and just as an adult, I was still scared of it. But that's why people have to call you guys. You're the experts in this.
And we do that kind of work. And sometimes you don't necessarily need all that, but you can go all the way from basic vapor barrier all the way up to an encapsulation or active control like that.
That's great. Pete, if people want to get in touch with you at AdvantaClean, where can they go to just take the first step?
Easiest thing is AdvantaClean.com.
Great.
Thank you for these tips. Like, it's nice to walk away with some information you can use.
I know. I'm going to kick my thing back on auto.
I'm putting mine on auto.
It's a good tip.
A lot of stuff's pretty simple. It's just a matter of actually kind of taking the fear out and kind of thinking logically through it, and then just solving the problem, keeping things dry.
Pete, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me
today. Go check them out at AdvantaClean.com.
Welcome back, everyone. Here at WPTV, we listen to your calls, we read your emails and social media messages. One common complaint, especially this time of year, mold popping up in homes.
Think about it. You've got the rain, it's hot, it's humid. All of it makes it just that much more unbearable. And what we hear time and time again is that getting help from landlords is often the challenge.
All right, Mike, you are working towards a solution related to all of this.
Yeah, that's right. It started with a call from someone renting in Port St. Lucie with mold in their apartment, dealing with a back and forth to get it fixed. I thought, She can't be the only one in a situation like this. Well, you can count on us. I started making calls on this, and I found out there are actually free resources out there to help.
Mind-boggling, stressful, because I'm starting all over again after losing everything.
That's Keila Perez in a tough situation after mold issues in her Port St. Lucie apartment.
We lost a lot of furniture, clothes, memorables of, things that we can't get back.
While connecting Perez with the resources to help, I spoke with a renter's rights expert who is lending easy-to-understand advice if you want a landlord to get rid of your home's mold problem.
Actually can be a fairly complex process. The biggest thing is to try to know your rights.
Mold just doesn't look nasty. It can cause serious health issues. The Centers for Disease Control says mold exposure can lead to coughing or a skin rash. More severe reactions could happen if you have asthma or are immunocompromised. Attorney Joe Grant worked for years as a renter's rights attorney. He says when you first notice mold in your home, make sure all your communication with your landlord is written, like in an email.
Say, hey, these are the issues. Here's a record of those issues. How do we move forward? And without that, it's just one word against another, and that's just really tough.
Perhaps the toughest part is proving the mold in your home is harmful to your health.
It's a gray area, that usually you're going to need third-party assistance.
I called 3 local mold remediation companies for prices. Some testing can cost nearly $400. If that's not in your budget and your landlord isn't budging, Florida Statute 8256 is on your side. But timing is important. The law says you can write a 7-day notice to repair defect letter. That requires your landlord to take some action, and if not, you have 2 main options. Terminate your lease and move out, or pay rent into an escrow account until the home is fixed.
When you deal with sophisticated landlords, they're going to know the rules.
Grant says not paying rent when you have mold is not an option. Renters must be paid up until the point of choosing to put your rent money into an escrow account. Then it might be time to find an attorney.
Most of the time, as soon as a landlord gets a letter from an attorney, their tone seems to change a little bit.
If that's too costly, nonprofits like the Legal Aid Society of Palm Beach County and Florida Rural Legal Services can give advice and sometimes free legal counsel.
Nonprofits that are ready, willing, and able, and really whose goal is to inform, in this instance, tenants of what their rights are.
Perez is rebuilding right now, saying she had no choice but to move out after her mold problem. Her former landlord is still trying to recoup back rent. We passed the nonprofit resources on to Perez, who's hoping for the best.
And now just working harder to try to get back what, peace of mind at least we have right now, because it was very stressful.
All right, I posted a template you can use for that 7-day notice to repair letter. It's on our website. All you have to do, click the link on this story, which is labeled Mold Problems. Here's free help.
This kind of heat isn't just unpleasant, it can make the air hard to breathe. So you go inside where the AC is, and to make sure you can breathe there, well, you dust and you vacuum and you change those air filters.
Yeah, but what if it's actually the AC that's making you sick? It is more common than you might think. If you don't have central air, you know the drill. Get the window unit out of storage and hook it up for the summer. Just be aware it could have mold and other irritants.
Without proper care and maintenance, mold can actually grow on the inside, which has the potential to lead to health problems like wheezing, congestion, or throat irritation.
When you examine it, look for clusters of tiny black spots along the air duct.
Cleaning the louvers is a good first step, but if you see mold on them, there's a good chance that there's more hiding inside the air conditioner. If that's the case, you really want to consider buying a new one.
Consumer Reports recommends this SPT for larger rooms. It costs about $340. And for mid-size rooms, consider this Kenmore for $270. And make sure it's installed properly. The window unit should be slightly tilted to the outside. That way any condensation or rainwater won't end up on the inside, which could also cause a mold problem. Install the unit's side panels snugly against the side of the window frame and use weather stripping foam so outside air can't creep in. This will save energy and keep out pollen and other allergens. Consumer Reports says it's also a good idea to clean the filter on your AC at the start of the season, then once a month after that.
It'll help the machine run efficiently and keep the air it circulates clean.